Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
we are. Week 7. All right. Would you like to say the prayer?
Sure. Hold on one second. Okay. Let me cough real quick. Hold on. Sorry. I love having exercise induced asthma. It's so great.
That's fine.
Okay. Our Father in heaven, we thank thee for this day. We thank thee for the opportunity that thou hast given us to be able to meet, to go over this glorious case and the opportunity that thou hast given us to attend one of your universities. We ask thee for the Spirit to be with us, that we will be able to get through this efficiently. And we say in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. All right. Should we just skip to number 3? Says
Hold on one second. We're doing Buzz Agent, right?
Brentwood.
Oh, Brentwood. Why is it's opened in 6? No wonder why. I'm like looking at it. I'm like I already have check marks on those ones. Oh, hold on. Oh, no, I just opened the wrong week. Sorry, give me just one more second. Brentwood. There we go.
All right. So it says, put yourself in the shoes of Brentwood Associates Management. You must decide whether or not you will exit Zoe's Kitchen now, and if so, what is the best option? As a group vote, what should Brentwood do with Zoe's Kitchen? IPO now, sell to a strategic buyer or financial buyer, wait and grow the business until it is more valuable before exiting. What do you vote?
Um, oh, there's Madeline. I think that they should hold on to it until it's more valuable, but not necessarily too long.
Yeah. Hey, Madeline, we just barely started. We're just on number 3 after like saying the prayer and spiritual thought. Basically, we're just voting what we think Brentwood should do as an exit strategy. Should he do an IPO, sell to a strategic or financial buyer, or should he wait till the business is more valuable? My vote is he should do an IPO now because he's already been with the company 6 years, and usually Brentwood Associates only stays with companies 2 to 3 years. So he's already been with them for quite a long time, and they have a lot of potential. In the beginning, he really bragged on how they are accelerating and doing really well. And the management's on board, and there's this window of opportunity that I would just take at this time. But I don't know. What's your thoughts, Madeline?
Um, I like that one also, but I kind of like the weight gain scale. Um, I was reading it, it said they'd be able to attract like a larger pool of like investors and a larger PE firms, and they're able to upsize credit facility within the lenders. I don't know, I thought those were a lot of good pros to have. I didn't
Yeah,
really like the sell to financial buyers that much.
yeah, I
I don't
didn't
know, that
either.
wasn't really
Seemed
appealing
to
to
take
me.
down the value of the company too.
Yeah. Yeah, because with the sell to finance buyers, like some of the cons were like their legal fees, something about something will be lower in the private market compared to the public market. I don't really know what part that was, but I was like, oh, that doesn't sound good. But, and then, yeah, I had a lot for, with this, I think it was the second one, her going public. I think that was the one that you were talking about.
Hmm.
Like, Or was that no? Was that the? I'm not sure. Hold on 1 second. Let me find where I found this.
While you're looking for what you're looking for, the thing this kind of reminded me of was the company Boston Market, which was a food thing that happened to expand really, really quickly. And they ended up failing in majority of the states across the United States because they expanded too quickly and they basically just tanked all of their cash value and they weren't able to gain it back. So they had to file Chapter 11 in a lot of states. And for example, like in the state of Utah, if a company files one of the bankruptcy, I can't remember if it's Chapter 7 or Chapter 11.
I think it's Chapter 11.
They actually have to pull out of the state, and they can't perform any type of business under the same name in the state for 7 years. And this would be a fear that I'd have with the Zoes is that they would too rapidly expand too quickly with the money because they're excited about growing, and they would end up failing and tanking because of rapid expansion at a quick pace.
Like if they went public?
Well, I mean, just in anything. It could be either one. If they went public, that would give them, more money, but then they'd end up having, because if they went public, they'd have to answer to a board of investors and all of that kind of stuff, where if they stayed kind of what they're doing right now, they have, more say in what they can do, because they may be pushed into directions to experience growth that they're really technically not ready for by their board of their board with having an IPO.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did read a lot of
waiting would be if you wait too long, because right now the market's really open to these different food industries going public, and investors are really interested in it. And I know Brentwood was concerned that if they miss this window of opportunity, he doesn't know when another one will come up where it would be as easy for them to access the public market. That would be one of the main reasons I would push to go now.
And I can totally see it both ways. Like I think that, going public is a good option because it gives you cash flow. It also makes your, value of your company higher. So without that problem, but it also adds some different caveats into it. But it's kind of like you just have to go with your gut feeling of thinking what it was. So yeah. I'm kind of in a mix between whether it would be IPO or if it would be just to wait and grow until the business is more valuable. But I also kind of think that it depends what they kind of want. I mean, do they really want to be like a nationwide chain that is all over, or do they just kind of want to stay local or within a small area of where they can have a little bit more control over things and that kind of deal?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're trying to go national because they have goals of expanding with so many new restaurants in different states every year.
Yeah.
I don't know. Should we move on to number 4? Is there anything else anybody wants to say?
I'm good.
All right. As a group, allow each individual to state his or her opinion or position. If you all agree at the outset, take a counter position and explore why we did that. Then it goes, why does Brentwood want to exit now? What are some reasons for holding now? What can go right under each scenario? What can go wrong? I feel like the last two we basically have gone over. We have gone over. But as far as why Brentwood wants to exit now, I just think he's on or they, because it's like a whole firm. They want to exit now just because they typically don't stay with companies as long as he's been with Zoe's. And so they're kind of just ready to do their own new thing or find a new company to invest in.
Yeah, that's the feeling that I got too. It's just kind of like they felt like they've been on the ride long enough, or that they feel like they can't offer them any more um, assistance in doing what they need to get done. They've kind of maybe possibly outgrown them.
Yeah, that was my thought too. Did you have any other kind of opinion about it, Madeline?
Not really. I didn't really get that part, why the investors like wouldn't stay with them for a long time. Like I did remember something saying that they're only there for like what 6 or 8 years or something about that, but I didn't really understand that.
Yeah, I don't know, because that's what I thought when you invested like that, you wanted to stay with the company for a long time to get a
Yeah, I
higher,
didn't know there was
but I don't know. They just do things different. I don't know. I don't know how that works. So, but
I think it's sometimes of where, and I'll kind of attribute this to like the managers in the entertainment industry, of where when you're first kind of entering the entertainment industry, you kind of find a manager who's willing just to kind of take you on because they don't know where you're going to go, but they're not connected enough or skilled enough, or they just don't want to put in that much effort to push you to the next level. So they kind of get you to level one, and then you kind of have to find somebody else who's a real go-getter, or ball buster. I know that's kind of a term, to be able to like push you into, getting you more auditions in different areas, that kind of thing. And maybe they're not willing to do the national thing or the possible international thing. And that's just kind of out of their realm of comfort, that they just don't feel like that's something they want to attribute or contribute to.
That makes sense.
yeah, it does make sense. All right, should we move on? We're gonna get done with this really quick.
That's good. I can go back to putting my house back together.
So the next one, number 5, which is the last one, says how much is Zoe's worth under each exit option? Discuss with each other how you got your answer. As a group, come up with a consensus as to what Zoe's is worth. And it says, what differences did you observe? What's that noise?
I don't know.
Any idea? No?
Mm-mm.
What difference did you observe in the valuations based on who buys the company? Does it make any sense? Does this make any sense? Discuss as a group. Why would anyone sell to a financial buyer instead of an IPO? All right, did you guys do the calculations?
I haven't done the calculations yet, so.
No, I wrote out how to do the formulas, but I didn't get that far.
I haven't really done them. I've played around with it a little bit, but it took me forever to find the formulas because I forgot there was a second document to download and read through. But as far as the last question goes, why would anyone sell to a financial buyer instead of an IPO? I think if you really needed out, or they really wanted out of the company and they didn't see a whole lot of potential in waiting any longer, and an IPO just wasn't an option, to sell to a financial buyer is better than just sitting there. That would be my reason as to why I would sell to a financial buyer. What are you guys?
That would be my reason too, is just if they just want out, quickly, and somebody's willing to pay with a number that they feel comfortable with. I think going public is kind of a big task to take on, because you have to make sure that your books are all clean. You probably are going to end up getting audited by the IRS, and you have to be willing to take on that extra expense of the extra accountants and lawyers that you have to be able to be in a publicly traded company. It's a different ballgame than being private.
Yeah, and there's a lot more to it. And it costs
So
a
if
lot
that's
to become publicly traded. I mean, they were going to have to spend like $13 million to become publicly traded, but to sell, I think it would cost them like $1 million to just
yeah.
for all the fees attached to just selling to a financial buyer.
So
I was reading about like the cons of like going public, and this kind of relates to it, but like I did read that like if you go public and it kind of fails, like your shares fail, then like that's really bad on your assets and that kind of ruins your company in a way. And they can like, and when you go public, you can't just call up your investors that you had in like the that you had before. There's like a lot of rules that you have to go through before you contact your investors compared to like what they're doing now. So I
it's
feel like
just
they
a
have a lot more
complete game
responsibility
changer.
and a lot more risk with
Yeah,
going
no, that's
public.
what I think it was the current CEO of Zoe's was saying how he would have to adjust the way he communicates with investors because he currently just calls them and says, "Oh, we're going to be short on meeting our quarterly expectation by this much because this happened." Or you can't do that. Then I mean, publicly you're owned by so many people that you can't call every single investor. It'll take you forever.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that it's a simple answer of it's just the simplicity of selling to a financial buyer as opposed to going IPO.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it depends what your company's worth. If your company's not worth enough, you couldn't offer an IPO or apply for one.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't work. Yeah.
I don't have a clue what that sound
What is
is.
wrong with my computer? I don't know what's happening. Sorry.
Is that your computer that's making that noise?
Yeah, I don't. There's an alien inside it. I don't know
Oh.
what's happening. It's been going on like the past 2 days. I'm like, what?
That's weird.
I wonder
I
if it's your
dropped it.
cooling
That's
fan is
probably
loose.
why.
Oh,
You probably dislodged your cooling fan.
Yeah, I dropped it like a week ago. So probably screwed
That's
something
not
up in
good.
it. No.
Well, the mic works better now. So since you dropped it.
Hey, there you go.
that gets better. Okay, we've gone through
You
all the
just
questions. I don't know if there's anything else you want to talk about it.
I don't think so. I think that this was pretty straightforward and easy.
I hated this case though. Sorry
It was
if
kind of boring.
watching this is
It was boring.
into the case, but it was so boring and it was just
20
long.
pages of boredom.
I don't know. I did not
Mhm.
like this case at all. The last few weeks I've at least found kind of interesting, and this I just didn't find very interesting. But
Yeah.
Oh, question. So what one should we go with? Like,
well, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm still with I would go with an IPO because I just look at it from Brentwood's position, and they just kind of want out, I feel like. And I think helping them get the initial public offering is one of the best ways to just get out now with the highest, most amount of money.
I bet the IPO is probably the best place to go. It just depends if everybody's on board with willing to put towards that much effort and work and the overall expense that's going to happen annually to be in an IPO. Chain and people like the food, and especially in this current situation in society of where everybody loves to eat out, not many people like to cook and do stuff, that it's a good market to start a restaurant in, especially if you offer healthy, which most Mediterranean food is fairly healthy.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Madeline? Are you in agreement with doing an IPO?
Well, yeah, and I guess they can like expand more because apparently he did want to go more nationally, and his growth would be larger if he did IPOs. And I did read that he would be able to like get more customers and like retain a lot more employees if he's like more known with different shareholders.
That's what I thought. It would be a good way to just get the name out there to become publicly traded. Not that you should do that necessarily just for marketing, but I feel like it would help.
It's a pro.
Yeah. All right.
Well, typically anybody that
Oh,
follows
go ahead.
business, if you end up on, CNN Business News or Fox News about how you're just a brand new IPO, you're gonna end up having quite a few people that are going to be very interested in what's going on. And especially in a consumer-based company that you have to have patrons to be able to keep your stuff going, then it's a do it.
Yeah. All right. I can
But,
summarize this week.
okay.
All right. So Brentwood Associates, they invested in Zoes about 6 years ago, and they're just kind of to the point where they're not sure if they want to keep waiting, and basically what would be the best exit strategy. They can either do an IPO now, they can sell to a certificate or a financial buyer, or they can stay with the company a little bit longer to see if it can increase in value. We decided that it would be best for Brentwood to help them get an IPO going because of the window of opportunity that's currently available and because of the progress that Zoes is making. Would be the best way for Brentwood to get the highest amount of return at this current time. If he goes with a strategic or financial buyer, they will get less of a return because strategic and financial buyer, the value of the company just is a lot lower than if they were to do it publicly. So that's kind of our decision, is that they should go with an IPO. All right.
Yay, we're done.